We have got Jerry Ferrara on the phone. Good morning, Jerry. How are you, man?
Yeah, good morning, man.
It's exciting to talk to you. You were in the news, in our news this week. We're doing news stuff, and your name came up, and now we get to talk to you, and I'm so excited.
I made the news?
You were in the news, and the story we were reading was accusing you of potentially being the person holding up the entire Entourage film. So, I thought, man.
You know what? If it was in the news, it must be true.
That's what I said. I said, you know what? I always thought Jerry was a great guy, but you know what? If the news is saying he's the one person holding up the entire project, I'm going to assume it's correct. So
yeah, no, you know what, Big J? Like, and I'll say it is kind of funny how this stuff, took on a little bit of a life of its own. I'm at a point where I do find it a little funny right now, but it was never any one specific person holding up anything. There's so many different avenues and little tiny details, and it's just trying to make sure that we do this thing right, because I do feel like there's some diehard fans that would be upset if it didn't kind of live up to what the show was. So we're just trying to make sure this whole thing was done
That's
properly,
good.
And it's going to be the best movie we can make.
Well, I mean, that's a great thing to do, too. I mean, it's like, I think in the long run, the fans would probably much rather wait a little bit longer than have you guys just rush some piece of crap out there because people are going to buy tickets to it either way. Like, put out a good product instead of just, selling tickets. That's a little integrity on your side is nice to hear. I like it.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I'm not the only one that feels that way. That's kind of the whole... whoever got singled out, but that's kind of the whole thought process from everybody involved. And it's always been like we won't do it if it's not right, or if the fans didn't want it, we wouldn't do it. It's kind of the relationship you start with the fans. So.
I think it's just you guys, because Mark Wahlberg said I'm just in it for the money. He's like, you could take a crap in a box and film it, and I'll put it out there. He's like, as long as I get paid.
Mark is the best. Mark's one of the hardest working guys I know, and he actually doesn't have to work all that hard if he didn't want to.
Oh yeah.
But chooses to work probably doubly as hard as anybody I know, and Mark's been very, very good to me and to us, and he's very much our leader in a lot of ways. So,
That's true.
It's all good. Entourage, it always works out in the end.
Exactly.
It's always like it
you
always
guys
works
get
out in the end.
Yeah. Speaking of let's first talk about the movie that we're actually promoting today, just so we don't get lost and forget to. Las Vegas. It's like to me, it looks like the geriatric Hangover. It looks like a fantastic movie. Some of the greatest actors: Michael Douglas, De Niro, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Kline, a bunch of other great actors all getting together, headed to Vegas. And you get to be a part of this star-studded cast. Tell people a little bit about the movie and who you play.
Well, yeah, Las Vegas. I mean, those names you just mentioned, yes, those are the stars of the movie. And Michael Douglas' character plays a lifetime bachelor and is getting married for the first time well into his 60s. And he calls his best friends, which is Morgan Freeman, Robert DeNiro, and Kevin Kline, and they go on this bachelor party to Vegas, having not been to Vegas probably 1973. So you're kind of seeing the new Vegas through their eyes, and it really is just it's a friendship movie, And these guys really do get into some crazy situations in Vegas, and I kind of play a guy who they keep bumping into, and we kind of become a little bit rival. There's a little rivalry there, and it all builds to a scene in a club where I literally get beat up by Mr. De Niro, which is every Italian kid from Brooklyn's dream, I guess.
Dude, I think that'd be anybody that likes the art of cinema and acting. I think that would be a dream. I would let Robert De Niro spit in my face for no reason, like anything he does to you.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Look, and no actor wants to get beat up in a movie. Like, because everyone's going to see it, your friends will see it. You want to be the guy that beats someone up in a movie.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you're going to get beat up in the movie, and if you came to me and said, hey, Jerry, you can pick any actor in the world you want to whoop you in a movie, I would pick Robert De Niro. So I just got really lucky there.
What a great choice there. Were these guys fun? I mean, these guys are such big names. I don't know which ones of them are, have personal relationships off camera, were friends to begin with. On set, there's this scene in the trailer where Morgan Freeman seems kind of drunk in the scene, and he's either just such a fantastic actor, or I'm wondering, did these guys party a little bit for real while they were shooting this film?
I mean, look, as far as I actually saw the film for the first time, the finished product last night, and that was actually one of the scenes that stuck out to me, because I could say as an actor, playing drunk is a very, very tricky thing. Because it can come off as just some broad kind of slop. Morgan Freeman plays probably the best in a comedy that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And as far as the four of them go, I had never met them before this movie, and of course you're a little nervous. It's like you're four icons, And to their credit, I don't know if they do this consciously or subconsciously, but I guess maybe they know that people kind of come on and look at them that way, or whatever the reason is, or it could be because they're just great guys. They diffused all that inside of 10 minutes. I walked on set and brought me over, asked me some questions. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to ask me questions. I asked you questions. And then the next 10 minutes later, it was like they evened the playing field for me, which I thought was like beyond generous. Like, they were the ones to diffuse it.
That's awesome. It's so interesting, too, though, because, all the rest of them aside, De Niro specifically, he's got this reputation for being, when you interview him, he's a total jerk, just notoriously, won't give you anything, won't crack a smile, he just comes across as a real jerk, but then you hear from people that work with him, like Bradley Cooper goes over to his house and sits down and hangs out and just calls him Bobby, and they're friends, and so people that actually know him say he's a super nice guy, but, anytime he's in the media or anything, he comes across as a jerk. It's like he's got this double life where if you don't know him, you think he might be this amazing, brilliant actor that's kind of a jerky guy, but anybody that actually knows him knows he's a brilliant actor and just a super cool dude, it seems like.
In my experiences with him, and I try to also, I try to base what I see and what I feel. I try not to judge anyone who I don't know, which is easy to do. You hear stuff, but I don't know, De Niro, to me, and with the way he treated me with respect, and Lord knows he didn't have to make it a point to be respectful to me. I just think he's a great guy. I think that's a bum rap from what I see.
Yeah.
He was just couldn't be a sweeter, nicer, funnier, more charismatic guy. I mean, I don't think you could do what he's done in his career with the characters he's played without having those things naturally inside of you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the guy I got to meet and got to know, and that's the guy I don't know, that's who I think he is.
That's the guy who I want him to be, so I'm glad that's who you know as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of cool stuff coming up, we know, obviously Las Vegas, it comes out next Friday night. That's going to be a great movie just to see a bunch of, legends kind of playing different roles than we're used to seeing them in, and a bunch of them together, so that will be great. But then, and also, of course, the Entourage movie in the works, so that's going to be great. But also, Lone Survivor. You get to work with your man, Mark Wahlberg, again on this one, and that this whole Marcus Luttrell story is amazing. People love the story, so I can only imagine that this movie is going to be huge. Are you excited to get to get down and dirty with Wahlberg in a role like that?
I mean, having read the book even before knowing it was getting made into a movie, it's an amazing story. Like I said, Marcus Luttrell, and people don't know, they'll know from this movie. And Peter Berg, who directed it, who has become a friend of mine. It's the second time I've worked with him, but also have the utmost respect for, this is Pete Berg at his best, and he is a tremendous filmmaker. Then you sprinkle in the fact of, it's Wahlberg and Ben Foster and Taylor Kitsch and Emile Hirsch, these other great actors, Eric Bana. It was crazy because I was actually shooting these at the same time. And again, I'm a small cog in the wheel of both of these projects, Obviously, they have each project has their four heroes, literally, in some cases. So to kind of be in Vegas doing this comedy with the Mount Rushmore of acting, as I like to call them, and then to hop on a plane to go into New Mexico to do this intense, story about these real-life heroes, I mean, man, it was hard. It was just an interesting dynamic to then be in New Mexico, and it's intense, and those guys have been there for weeks with beards playing these SEALs, fighting for their lives. Then I get back on a plane, and I'm in a club in Vegas, and I'm supposed to be, laughing. It was an interesting time in my life.
I'm sure, any actor would die for the ability to be able to fly between those two projects. So, obviously, Jerry, things are going very, very well in the career, and I think any of us that are fans of your work are excited to see things going so well for you. So, we'll check you out next Friday in Las Vegas. We'll look forward to Lone Survivor. We'll look forward to the Entourage movie and everything else you have going on. Thank you so much for taking the time for us, and come on, Jerry, stop holding up the Entourage movie, will you?
You know, I'll stop. You know what? Because you said it, I'll call up and tell them I'm in. Right?
Yes.
I wasn't going to do it. But we talked it out right here.
You know, all the clout we have here in Billings, Montana, we really affect what goes on in Hollywood. So I'm glad you are aware of that. And Jerry, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's Jerry Ferrara. Check him out in Las Vegas next Friday. Jerry, thanks again for taking the time for us, and best of luck with everything, man.
Talk to you soon, man. Thank you very much.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.